My son just opened the door and gave me a hug and said, "It's okay, Mom, it's not your fault." I don't normally post things like this, but I am absolutely humiliated. So I was invited to a 4th of July party the other day by my son's best friend's mother. So I made an antipasto salad, like this big, gorgeous salad, and I asked, is there anything you want me to bring? Thank you so much. I was so gracious. I kept reiterating that. Thank you so much for inviting me. I don't know anybody here. I get there and the kids get out and I grab the antipasto and I'm carrying the salad and I have my beer and I just wanted to put the salad down and chat and introduce myself to everybody. And I guess the homeowner's name is Stasia, and her husband, I don't even know who he was. He walked by me kind of angry and ignored me, but I was trying to introduce myself to everybody. I'm just chatting, not even 5 minutes in the door, and somebody walks in the house and is like, "Are you going to introduce yourself to somebody? It's really rude to walk into somebody's house and not introduce yourself." He's absolutely flipping out outside about some stranger. And I was so confused. I looked like a deer caught in headlights because I thought I was invited. And I was like, "I'm really sorry. I don't even know whose house this is." And the girl goes, "Exactly. You shouldn't be in here." And I was like, "Okay." So I walk outside, and when I get out on the porch, the girl Stasia I introduced myself to, it wouldn't even look at me. She turned herself looking away on the porch, and there's all these people just angrily looking at me and nasty. And one guy was like, "Welcome to the neighborhood, see you later." And I was like, "Okay." So I just dumped my beer out, and I was just I was totally distraught. And
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm on lunch. Don't worry, you're not going to hear food noises. I'm actually not going to be eating anything, so I'm kind of hanging out in my car. I just wanted to chill out in my car with the air conditioner on. It's the only place that's I can get peace and quiet. So I hate to talk about TikTok drama because it's so stupid. You want to talk about a AstroTurf kind of push. So in case y'all haven't heard, there's this thing called the fucking people were calling it Antipasta Gate. I didn't know what the hell antipasta was up until a few days ago when I started hearing about this. So this stupid shit happened over 4th of July, and this lady, I believe she's from God, I forgot where she's from. She's from one of the northern states. So she had moved from a northern state to like a Bible Belt state. I don't remember which. It don't really matter. The details don't matter. You can look it up yourself. Just look up antipasta drama on Google or Ask ChatGPT or some shit. You'll find it. Super easy to find. You can find it on YouTube. I put a link in my community post talking about it. I refer to it as Sodom and Gomorrah, the prelude to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I say you never know when the stranger is going to be. You never know when a stranger is going to be disguised as the angel of death or the angel of destruction. As I'm hearing this story, this lady, she made a TikTok where she's basically crying, right? She's starting off her video in hysterics, right? Which to me is just right away I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing that could possibly really constitute this kind of drama, So she's talking about how her son, so I gotta assume she's a single mom just by the way she looks and how she speaks. So well, actually, no, I'm wrong. I assumed she was a single mom. Turns out she does have a husband because it's not important why I know that. Maybe we'll get into it. But so to start off, she's in hysterics, right? She basically goes on to explain that her son's, God, what was it exactly? Her son's, It was like her son's friend's mother invited them to like a 4th of July cookout, right? At some person's, looked like they live in like a double wide, from what people are leaking online, because this woman got doxxed. Not the woman that's crying, but the other lady that got doxxed. So basically they got invited. This lady, the lady that's in hysterics in the video, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. She gets invited. She brings, the only thing she brings with her is a beer for herself and this big tin foil thing of tin plate thing, tin bowl, whatever it's called, of antipasta. I guess that's how you say it. I really don't know. I hadn't heard about it. Antipasta, some shit. And turns out it's all it is. It's like a bunch of appetizers in like a big bowl, right? So she brings that as a kind of a way of introducing herself to the neighborhood, because she's new in the neighborhood, right? And according to her, she walks in, you know, introduces herself to people and all that, and the husband of the property or the household or whatever, the hosts, are all pissed off because this person that they don't know kind of walked into their house kind of you know, without an invitation, instead of like, you know, approaching her and being like, hey, or at least, you know, showing some hospitality, like, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, like, who invited you, who do you know? Maybe not wording it like that exactly, but, you know, saying like, what, and this person just walked into my house. And obviously, even if they are a stranger, just to give my 2 cents on this stupidity, even if they are a stranger, if they're coming in with a plate, or they're coming in with the dish, right? You bring a dish when you get invited to something, just as a means as a thank you for the invitation kind of thing, right? It's just being, I don't know, hospitable is the right word, but just to show gratitude, you bring something of your own, right? Kind of like a potluck situation. And if you were to see someone like, you're hosting a 4th of July party, right? You notice somebody you don't know, but somebody obviously invited her just by the mere fact that she brought something, you know what I mean? This isn't just some person walking to your house, even though it kind of is, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's semantics. That's not really what I want to focus on. So this lady's in hysterics, and kind of explaining what happened, right? She's like crying. She made a TikTok about it. Her TikTok on its own wasn't enough to go viral. It was the lady's response, the other lady, the host, right? The hostess, and the property owner, right? The property owners, they decided to make a video kind of explaining what happened, and they came off as super fucking cunts, okay? They came off as complete cunts. Even in my opinion, it's like, wow, y'all sound like fucking jackasses, man. But so everybody's kind of clinging to this, right? And that was the video that went viral, and by proxy, this other lady's video went viral. Like, if the host, the property owners wouldn't have made a video or said anything, it wouldn't have went viral at all. That's the weird part about it. But just to me, like most of y'all should know, stuff like this gets thrown out into the world on purpose. It's completely, I know I've been throwing this word around a lot lately, but it really is an AstroTurf situation. While the situation in it itself may be organic, like this really truly happened, to me, some kind of dark entity, you can call it the Knock, right? You can call it Satan, the devil. They influence people. This entity influences people, causes things to go viral like this in order to send a message. And the message in this case is North versus South in the United States, because that seems to be the main issue when it comes to the comment section of these videos, where you're having a lot of people virtue signal about this, where everybody has 20/20 vision, right? As soon as the shit goes down, when they see something online, they go, oh, I wouldn't have done the shit this way, when you know damn well they probably would have acted the exact same way, which is being really rude to this lady and kind of kicking her out of your house, right? According to this lady, she was kind of thrown off the property in kind of a rude way, just completely not shown any kind of hospitality or anything, and that's why it went viral. So as usual, this is an opportunity for everyone to virtue signal, you know? To say, if I would have seen a stranger walk into my house with a plate full of food or whatever, a tin, a tin thing full of food, whatever those are called, like, what are they called? A baking sheet? Yeah, like a baking sheet full of food. In this case, it was the antipesto or whatever it's called. I never heard of that fucking phrase until a few days ago, so it's weird to me out just saying it. It's really weird. Really fucking weird. A lot of people are going online saying, I wouldn't have done it this way when damn well they would have. And to me, it's like, I don't know, when I was listening to this story, just kind of gripped me, like it kind of gripped everybody, right? So I guess I'm on the normie frequency in that way still. But the thing is, when I was listening to the story, and this is the little Bible thumper in me was thinking about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And there's a lot of people out there that like to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah as some kind of anti-homosexual thing, right? And I don't see that story that way at all. It has a lot to do with degeneracy, obviously, but it has more to do with the way you treat strangers. So in the story, in case y'all don't know, Lot, which is Abraham's nephew, the story of Abraham, just to give a little bit of pretext, I think Lot got caught up with some king at some point. Lot's possessions, along with his family, got taken by a king. Abraham, supposedly the father of the tribes, right? Abraham, the kind of a badass that he was, gathered a group of 300 people, armed them, went to the king, got his nephew back, and that's the story of Abraham and Lot. Okay, so right before Lot's encounter with the angels, the three angels, supposedly it was three. I'm not even sure how many angels it was. It might have been two. Details don't matter, but Abraham had blessed. The angels had visited Abraham right before that and blessed them with the promise that him and Sarah were going to have a child, right? Finally going to have a son, because Abraham has a bunch of daughters. But anyway, so Abraham's nephew Lot lives in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So the angels, God sends down these angels, right? So they bless Abraham with the promise of a son. He's an old man, and Sarah kind of laughs at him and says, we're old. What do you mean I'm going to have a son? Are you crazy? Essentially, right? Because that's just the way women are. Even in front of two angels, right? A woman will still be cynical and all that nonsense. Even in the Bible, they're still like that. So it's really crazy to me that people in the Bible still act the way they do, in a big way, So Lot notices the two strangers in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And Lot, being kind of like the guy that he is, wants to show these two strangers a good time, or at least give them a place to stay, because he notices that they're just going to stay in the square and just kind of hang out for the night. Lot is like, Lot treats them like royalty, and Lot doesn't know they're angels. Okay, it's kind of ambiguous. It's left to the reader's interpretation whether or not Lot knew that these angels were these strangers were angels or not. But he treats them like they're angels. So he brings them to his home. There's this big emphasis on killing the most fattened calf and basically showing them hospitality, right? So that's the idea of Sodom and Gomorrah, in my opinion. The overall encompassing idea is treating the stranger as if they're angels. That kind of what's it called? Moral, right? If you want to say there's a moral to the story, that's what it is. So the people of, like, the no-gooders, right? The debaucherers knock on Lot's door saying, hey, we hear that you're keeping these two strangers in your home. Bring them out there, because we're basically going to have our way with them. And there's innuendos of that about sodomy, right? About that they're basically going to rape them. Bring them out, we're going to rape them, kind of deal. So Lot is like, and this part of the story's, whatever. A lot of people skip over this next part, because Lot then offers his daughters as a way of pacifying the crowd. It's like, hey, my daughters are virgins. Why don't you take them instead? These strangers are under my care. Which really, and as fucked up as that is, it shows that they're in tradition. They value these two strangers, these two strange men, and the kind of the promise you have for, like, when you make a promise to protect somebody. In this case, the two strangers, right? He took them under his care. He took that very seriously. He took it seriously to the point where he was willing to give up his daughters to this group of people, right? This group of like these group of rapists, I guess. So after that, I don't think anything really happened to his daughters by that point, but so the angels basically tell him to come inside, not the group, but tells Lot to come inside, that they want Lot and his family to flee. Flee Sodom and Gomorrah. We're gonna burn this place to the ground. Like, that was the shit test, in a sense, where these two angels of destruction, right? And this is what I mean by that community post. These two angels were disguised as strangers in order to kind of give Sodom and Gomorrah a second chance, right? A litmus test of sorts, where it's like, let's see how they treat the strangers or whatever. And I'm not saying this lady, and I'm bringing it back to the story of this antipesto lady, or antipasta lady. Antipasto? That still weirds me out saying it. But so this lady, who's a stranger in their home, right? Now, she wasn't involved. She was invited. She was invited by the wrong person, that's for sure. Like, this other person probably had no business inviting her. I want to know her story, to be honest, but we'll never get it, probably. So this stranger enters your home, right? And it's very obvious that they're non-aggressive. And you're throwing a party, right? That's what a party is, a get-together, like a get-together of people. So this other person shows up that you don't know. And they threw like a bitch fit over it, right? Basically kicking her out. And fair enough, it's their property, it's their house, they have a prerogative to do that. And to be honest, I don't really disagree with them on that. It's like, if they didn't want her on their property, it's like, okay, yeah, go for it. But as I was listening to this story, I couldn't help but think of that biblical story, because it's like I said, you never know when a stranger is disguised as an angel. You never know when an angel is disguised as the stranger. And I learned this from Jordan Peterson, okay? As fucking crazy as he is right now. He lost his mind way back when. He lost his fucking mind years ago. I don't listen to him anymore, okay? But his biblical lectures are really good. And I had to re-listen to that story of Sodom and Gomorrah, because he put it in really good terms, and kind of the way I explained it. He explained it way better than I ever could. But that's just the too long didn't read version of that. And it seems like the host, the hostess, the lady, they're getting a lot of negative feedback from the internet, right? From people. They got doxxed, like their pictures of their property are all over the internet now. And that, to me, that's fucked up. Obviously, most of y'all are going to think that's fucked up too. But people are awful in that way. And it's funny though, because the people that are virtue signaling about this the hardest are the ones that are being the biggest assholes about an incident that had nothing to do with them, right? And supposedly this lady, the hostess, lost her job. And I don't know what happened to the husband, but so this lady supposedly lost her job. She's getting harassed, and that community, that town has been on blast. It's like, and you know how everybody is. They're like, oh, it's a red state. They're probably Trump supporters and all that bullshit. Everybody's kind of getting on that bandwagon, like as soon as they're always using people, The people that virtue signal the hardest are the ones that are using people. Like, they're using this story and this situation to turn it into something weird and political. Like, the other thing over the 4th of July was the Guadalupe River, flooding in Texas. And I'm not gonna lie, like, the more liberal-minded, liberal side of the internet, these fucking terrible people were basically making fun of the victims of that flood. And it was there's a hyper focus on that camp. What was the fucking name of it, man? I forgot the name of the camp, but it was like a children's camp. It was a Girl Scout camp, so a lot of little girls and the troop, the counselors got wiped out. Okay, and from what I understand, they're still looking for survivors. But the people that virtue signaled the hardest about this kind of stuff are usually the first to say, it's like, oh, that's what they get for voting for Trump. It's like, what the fuck? Like, people like this are so twisted. But anyway, that's besides the point. I would love to get into that. That camp in particular just so happened to be associated with Laura Bush, the Bush family, the Clintons. The Clintons probably got something to do with it just by proxy. And there's always weird metaphysical signs associated with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just always fucking strangeness involved with these stories. I don't know, guys. It's just something I wanted to bring up. Like I said, that story, just to recap, that story really, really reminded me of The Stranger, right? The Stranger and its association with the angels, or the angel of destruction in this case. And I've always, I don't know, back when I had my epiphany, when I first forgave my father, maybe not thanks to Jordan Peterson, but he had a hand in it. The Abrahamic stories in the Bible, like yesterday, when Kirk was live streaming, I got into it, and I started speaking in strange ways. Like, it may seem as if I'm speaking in tongues in some ways, because Kirk had mentioned that, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of he doesn't act like his father or even his grandfather. And it's kind of weird and funny how even these older, maybe not older, but people in past generations, like the Silent Gen and the GI Gen, the men in those generations, weren't really any better than today's adults, like the millennials, the adult millennials, for instance. Fucking soy boy, soy-faced, just fucking cucks, you know what I mean? Like, for the most part. And the GI generation, the only credit they had, I said it in his chat, his live chat, where I said something along the lines of, the only thing the GI generation got credit for was fighting in 2 world wars, you know what I mean? Thinking they're hot shit, and that's really the only credit they have, because the generations after that are completely fucked. So what was the fucking point of that? What's the point of the humble brag of being World War veterans when your children are fucking fucked in the ass? But what I mean by Abraham's spirit, I said that the Abraham spirit seems to skip generations, where I don't know how my father was, okay? I never met him. I mean, I met him obviously when I was a little boy, but I never had a conversation with my father, so I don't know what kind of a man he was. He was probably weak, considering that, considering the woman he married, his second marriage, like that kind of shit, where it's just a fucking joke. I just know that he was just a weak male, just from that alone, the type of woman he got entangled with. And Kirk feels as if he's nothing like his father, and I feel like maybe I'm a lot like my father, but some aspects I'm not. Probably many aspects that I'm not. And Matt McKinley has said in his videos too that he feels as if he's nothing like his father, and he feels like he has more of his grandfather's spirit. And my wife has expressed this too, where it's like she doesn't feel like she's anything like her parents, and she feels like she's more like her grandfather. That's what I mean by that Abraham spirit, that manly animus spirit seems to skip generations. And that's what I mean by the Abraham spirit. That's what I mean. And I think it's a point. I think it's designed like this on purpose, where even that Abrahamic spirit is still has weakness in it, right? And it's like that by design. It's like a bottleneck in a way. It's like I said, a designed flaw. Like all designed to have a flaw in a way. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I'm still kind of dissecting that, you know. Anyway, that was a long story. I'm probably gonna make this kind of a video on its own. Oh yeah, I also had a strange dream. I want to talk about this dream really quick. So I had a dream that my wife and I were getting ready to go on vacation, and I don't remember where it was. So our daughter was going to come with us, but she said that she wanted to ride in her grandpa's truck. And in my mind, her grandpa wasn't my father-in-law, the man who married my wife's mother. They were adults, okay? My wife was an adult when they got remarried, or when her mother got remarried. So, but this guy, I still consider him my father-in-law, right? And my daughter still considers her, her grandpa, or her grandpa, her grandpa. And but in my mind, when she said that she wanted to ride in her grandpa's big truck, it was my father. It was my actual father. He had a big truck that he was gonna take my daughter in to as a bonding kind of thing with her. So in my mind, it was my father, and I haven't had a dream about my father probably since I was like 7. I used to have pretty intense nightmares. Maybe not nightmares, but I used to have pretty intense dreams about my father being an angel. I've talked about that before. And I haven't had a dream about him since, until up until a few days ago. And I don't know, it was a weird feeling. Like, I don't know. So I don't know what to say about it, because it's just very strange that I had a dream about my dad in that way. And all it was him driving a big truck, you know, one of the big rigs, right? Because he was a truck driver. Driving a big truck and taking my daughter to our vacation spot, you know. She didn't want to come with us. She wanted to ride with my dad, which is weird. It's really weird in itself. I've never had a dream about him since. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I need to get back to work as well, so I'm just going to post this as a standalone video. I rambled a lot in it. I hope y'all get my point, because I felt like I was kind of all over the place in a way. So y'all let me know what you think. Take it easy.